yafqahu qawli. Kita mulakan dulu program kita dengan bacaan Ummul Kitab Al-Fatihah. Bismillah. Amin, amin, amin ya rabbal alamin. Yang saya hormati Prof penceramah kita iaitu Profesor Madya Dr. Noor Zahirah Muhammad Sidek. Dan semua rakan-rakan pensyarah yang saya hormati. InsyaAllah hari ini kita akan mengikuti sebuah webinar series yang dianjurkan oleh Research Management Unit Bahagian Penyelidikan dan Jaringan Industri Universiti Teknologi Mara Cawangan Terengganu. Webinar pertama kita dalam tahun ini insyaAllah yang bertajuk Winning FRGS 2021 Insider Tips for Social Science. Yang akan disampaikan oleh Profesor Madya Dr. Noor Zahirah Muhammad Sidek daripada Universiti Teknologi Mara Cawangan Kedah. Sebelum saya serahkan webinar series ini kepada Prof penceramah kita, suka untuk saya berkongsi sedikit lah mengenai biografi dan profil Prof Madya Dr. Noor Zahirah Muhammad Sidek. Beliau merupakan pemegang PhD dalam bidang economics. Beliau juga merupakan pemegang postdoctorate dari Durham University UK. Research interest beliau adalah bidang financial, institutional economics dan Islamic finance. Beliau juga merupakan ahli aktif kepada beberapa badan profesional termasuk Syariah Registered Financial Planner, Malaysian Financial Planning Council dan Malaysia Finance Association. Suka juga untuk saya kongsikan, beliau juga telah memenangi banyak research grant daripada pelbagai organisasi, termasuklah beberapa grant FRGS, REX, PRGS juga walaupun beliau adalah bidang social science. Semua-semua ni kebanyakannya daripada KPT lah. Matching grant, beliau juga memenangi matching grant bersama SSRU Thailand dan juga grant daripada Ministry of Home Affairs Malaysia. So saya kira dengan pengalaman yang beliau ada ini, kita semua dapat mengambil peluang inilah, terutamanya kawan-kawan dalam bidang social science, bagi mengetahui tips lah. Satunya mungkin cara penulisan proposal untuk FRGS khususnya dengan betul, dan juga tips-tips dalaman yang mungkin kita tak tahulah. Dengan itu tanpa membuang masa untuk menyampaikan intipati webinar series kita pada kali ini, saya serahkan kepada Prof penceramah kita iaitu Profesor Madya Dr. Noor Zahirah Muhammad Sidek. Dipersilakan Doktor.
Thank you very much Dr. Nurul. I told her when she asked me to give this talk, saya tanya Prof Rashima, betul Prof Rashima pasal ini, so dia pass I. I'm not the best person to be talking on this, but I'll just share a few of my experiences lah when apply grant. So without further ado, kita start sajalah ya.
Boleh Doktor. Sila Doktor.
Please feel free if you want to ask anything. Boleh tanya terus lah, tak payah tunggu sampai
habis program kan.
So today I'm going to focus only on FRGS, based on what I've gone through. I've started applying FRGS after I finished my PhD, which was in 2010. Masa tu tak tahu lagi FRGS ni ada apa semua. So in 2011, I got to know because I was the Timbalan Director PJI for UiTM Kedah. So that was how I started to know about all this grants and so on. So in 2012, I managed to get 2 FRGS and 1 ERGS. At that time, it was so easy to get because not many people applied for the grants. Nowadays, it's very competitive. So it is a bit more difficult to get the grants. Nevertheless, we should always try and put our best efforts. Alright, so the first thing that you need to bear in mind when we are applying for any kind of grants, there are elements that we can control and there are elements that we cannot control. Okay, so what we're going to focus today is, of course, the elements that we can control. So the first thing we need to do is, of course, come up with a very, very good research proposal. So what constitutes a very good research proposal? The first one is you must have a topic that is spot on. So for example, nowadays we have this problem of COVID-19. Lepas tu ramai lah kan, apa PKP beberapa kali dah, MCO beberapa kali dah, ni darurat pula. Okay, so hari ni I saw a joke on the news today. It was saying that COVID-19 and politicians are equally dangerous. So one of them have to be PKP and the other one has to be darurat. So that was the joke of the day this morning. So those are the things that we need to take into account when we are producing our proposal for this year at least. Okay, so to the list, your title or the things that you need to come up with must be related on how to revive the economy, how to revive the society given the massive impact of COVID-19. Okay, because COVID-19 is not only orang kata saat lagi habis lah apalah, the effect will be prolonged. Okay, dia akan makan masa yang banyak lah. Okay, so something needs to be done on that. Okay, so that is the first one. You need to have a very good ataupun a very spot on title to start with. And then of course you must have a logical flow of arguments. Okay, that means your problem statement, objective, literature review, method, everything has to be in line. Everything has to flow nicely. Okay, kebanyakan lecturer UiTM ada nampak problem you all, idea you all bagus, tapi masalahnya how to write an impactful proposal. So that is the crucial thing that has to be done. And then I've got some friends in the past who are in RMU, yang dulu yang geng-geng yang gempak tu, it normally took them like a few months to come up with a very good proposal. Okay, so having said that, tak apalah, still lah buat kan. Tak dapat tahun ni, tahun depan masih boleh buat. Okay, and then whatever that you propose, that anything that you are trying to do, you must make sure that it is feasible within the time period that is given to you. So normally FRGS is about 2 years or 24 months. So you must make sure whatever that you write down in your proposal is achievable within 2 years. Okay, and of course your outcome must be measurable. Nanti I akan tunjuk balik lah what we mean by measurable. And then finally, your English has to be flawless. That means it doesn't have any grammatical errors or it doesn't have any major problems in your sentence structure, all those things. Okay, and then it must be academically written. Okay, you must write in an academic manner. Okay, jangan tulis macam mana you tulis dalam FB ke dalam Twitter ke. Okay, and then you must make sure that the words are correctly spelled. Okay, so after doing all these things, okay, we must also bear in mind that there are elements that we cannot control. So the first one is the reviewer, whoever reviews your paper. Okay, we cannot control them because these people, they have their own preferences, they have their own style, and then sometimes their mood also affects when they are reading your proposal. Of course, they were told not to be emotional when they read, but then kadang-kadang humans are biased. If they don't like your style, then they don't like your style. It's not that your proposal is not good, but that it does not suit the reviewer who is reading your proposal. So that is sometimes an element that makes your proposal being rejected. But in the case of RMC, nowadays they will try their best, okay, to recommend, okay, almost all of the proposals, okay, kecuali yang teruk sangat-sangat lah. Yang tu yang dia orang tak recommend. Otherwise, they will try their best to recommend your proposal, at least bring it up to KPT level. Okay, the other thing that you need to know is even KPT pun dia akan tengok, okay, katakanlah UiTM hantar 700 proposal. Okay, so after we have done our internal reviewing, they are expecting about 40 to 70% recommended proposals. So the other 30% tu memang bye-bye lah. So benda tu you kena accept lah. Okay, so that is why we need to keep on doing or producing very good proposals. Okay, the best is if you can invite someone in KPT who is assessing the proposals to give talk to you. So yang itulah yang terbaik lah. So antara kalau you kat UiTM ni yang examine proposals, yang kita tahu dulu Prof Norma, and then we have Prof Bakar. So those are the people who are consistently called by KPT to examine or to review all these proposals. Okay, cumanya mereka tak akan review proposals daripada UiTM sebab takut bias. Okay, so normally professors lah yang akan jadi reviewers di KPT. Okay, and then of course we also have institutional goals. So for example, UiTM ni dia punya bidang tujahan dia apa? So whatever that our concentration or it could according to our renew, okay, so those are the ones that will be recommended dulu compared to those that are not under our bidang tujahan. Okay, and of course funding is always limited, so you need to compete with others. So that is why most importantly you have to come up with a very good research proposal. Okay, so when a reviewer they receive your proposal, what they will do is they will normally go through 3 stages. So the first level of the review is they will filter your proposal. That means they will look at the overall proposal of yours. So what they do, read at first, the first thing that they will do is they will go through the title. Okay, they will have a look at your executive summary. So that is why you need to make sure that the title is really impactful, and then your executive summary summarizes what you are planning to do. Okay, and they will look at your problem statement briefly, your objective, and then whether what you're proposing is achievable within 2 years. Okay, and then is your methodology adequate to achieve those objectives? And then you must have at least literature review. So first kali dia tak baca literature review, dia akan tengok you punya reference dulu. Okay, are your references recent? Ataupun references yang zaman dinosaur. So those are the things that they will look at. And then of course your milestone and your Gantt chart, this is to measure whether whatever that you are proposing is achievable within that time period. Okay, so if they're happy, okay, with all these things, so they will go to the next stage. The next stage is when they will read in detail. So apa-apa macam kita lah bila kita dapat journal paper kan, what we will normally do is we will normally go through the paper, skim through. Okay, macam I always read the introduction as well as the conclusion. So if the paper is relevant to what I'm doing, then I will read in detail. So the same goes with the normal reviewer. Okay, because you have to remember a reviewer is also a human being. So they are more or less similar to what you normally do. So you must make sure that all these things are available. If let's say you miss one of this, so that is the first basis that they will reject. Okay, so those are the things that we need to carefully look at. Sebab itulah bila proposal ni you have to read and read and read. Okay, proofread your proposal even after you have finished. Okay, selalunya kita ni buat benda, we normally like to work last minute. Okay, dah dapat, hantar terus without really reviewing our proposal. So it is very important that we review our proposal in detail. Okay, and then they will read in detail, so they will critically assess your paper or your proposal, so they will give suggestions. So again, at this stage, if there are inconsistency with your there are inconsistencies between your objective, your problem statement, and then your research question or hypothesis. So those are the basis that they can reject your paper. So kat sinilah another or the second layer where they can reject your proposal. Sorry. Okay, so let's say you have done a very good proposal. Okay, normally they will ask you to do some modification. Sebab apa? Sebab saya kalau accept 100%, seolah-olah reviewer tak bekerja pula kan. So they will normally give you something that you need to correct. Okay, for example, probably some spelling, or they ask you to add your references. So those are the things that they have to do, a minimum, okay, even for a very good proposal. Okay, so modifications or corrections are something normal. Okay, if they like your proposal but then your proposal lacks something, for example your methodology is not recent, you pakai method yang zaman dulu-dulu punya, you're not incorporating the new method, contohnya, so they will give you feedbacks for you to improve your proposal, and make sure you must address all the comments by reviewer. So bila dapat comments daripada reviewer tu, you must address them one by one. Each and every single sentence that they write, you must respond to that particular sentence ataupun to that particular feedbacks or comments. Okay, so those are the things lah yang you buat. So once you have done that, they will recommend. So that is the process that UiTM will go through lah. Okay, so lepas proses tu barulah pergi pula ke KPT. Okay, so normally KPT they are not as stringent as in UiTM. So normally kalau UiTM dah recommend tu, normally they will highly consider all those things. Cumanya they will have to align with the government's requirement or KPT's requirement for that particular year. Sebab di KPT pun you kena ingat, okay, they have certain targets for every year. Contohnya this year they nak more on economy, contohnya, because we need to revive the economy and so on, and social, because there has been a lot of social disruptions, okay, because of COVID-19, and probably education. Okay, sebab ada orang kata budak-budak 2020 is a lost generation. Okay, they have been in school for a few months. Okay, mereka dah ketinggalan dari segi pembelajaran. So what needs to be done to remedy the problems? So fokus dia mungkin yang itu. Jadi untuk research yang berkaitan dengan main domain yang mereka nak tu, ada possibility untuk dapat compared to those yang mereka tak berapa nak berminat sangat. Okay, so those are the things that we also need to bear in mind. Okay, so when you write, of course, I have been repeating this again and again. Okay, first you need to attract the reviewer's attention. Okay, so a good research proposal provides reviewers with all the relevant information in a clear and accessible manner. Clear, concise, senang faham. Okay, so if I read something that I don't understand, then I will have to read more. I will refer here and there. Okay, and then when I read more, the problem is I will discover something new. Oh, you should have done this, you should have done this. So make sure what you have written is clear and is accessible. Okay, so evaluation criteria may vary, but the key questions usually revolve around what, why, how, who, and where. Okay, so when you have finished writing your proposal, make sure you review balik, tengok what is your research idea. Okay, you have to look at it again. Okay, why, the content to which the research addresses an important problem or the challenges in a novel and groundbreaking manner. So the keyword here is a novel and groundbreaking manner. Apa benda baru yang you nak try, suggest. Okay, or what are the improvements that you are trying to suggest? So that constitutes the novelty of your proposal. Okay, and then for how how, that means the objective, the methods, and its potential impact in terms of how the research may change the science or the world. So we're not talking about we want to change the world, but how can you impact your society? What is the impact of the society if you have managed to conduct this particular research? Okay, so who, okay, including the research profile, the competences of the applicants. Okay, so those are the things that we also need to look at. I'll go through this again afterwards. And then where, reflecting the research environment with respect to both access to appropriate infrastructure and intellectual setting. Okay, where ni selalunya kita buat di the research is mainly conducted in UiTM, for example. And then where, for example, if you want to do a research on mechanization of palm oil harvesting, so your location has to be in a palm oil estate, for example. So mestilah benda tu mestilah consistent. Okay, so I think the most challenging part is the way you write in such a way that it will not make the reviewers bored, okay, when they are reading your proposal. So it is a skill that we seriously need to develop. Even I'm still trying to develop this skill. How to make sure that when people read my articles or my proposal, they feel that they want to read more and more and more. So how do you write in a manner that makes it very interesting to read? So that is quite a challenge, even for me until now. Okay, so I treat this more as a sharing session. Okay. All right, so what I'm planning to do is to walk you through to the elements that are in the FRGS application form. Okay, so what I'm planning to go through is, first we're going to look at the application details. Okay, ni I ikut sebiji dalam FRGS punya borang tu lah. Details of the project reader, okay, research information, access to equipment and material, budget, declaration, and finally the appendix. Okay, so nampak macam tak banyak, okay, but you need to make sure that all these things are being properly done. Okay, alright, so the first one is the application details. So first of all, you must get the right title. Okay, your title has to be specific. It has to reflect the nature and the type of research that you are trying to do. And then the most important thing before writing the or coming out with the title is to make sure whether the issues that you are trying to bring up is worthy for research. Okay, so benda tu lah yang you nak kena tengok. Okay, and then selagi you tak submit, selagi itulah you boleh tukar-tukar you punya title. So make sure it is impactful. Okay, dia very catchy lah you punya research. Okay, and then of course you have to have 4 to 5 keywords. So how do you select your keywords? Keywords you mesti ada elements of your focal variables, for example, or your main issue. So let me just show you. Okay, sekejap ya. I'll show you the FRGS form. Okay, so first of all you need to come up with a title. Okay, so contohnya dulu ni I punya FRGS yang lama lah, 2019. Okay, a comprehensive model to reduce income inequality amongst B40 in Malaysia. Okay, so the main or my focal variable is income inequality. Okay, so of course dalam keyword I mesti ada the word income inequality. And then monetary policy, because these are my control variables. Okay, financial inclusion is also my control variables, and then institutional factors is also my control variables. Okay, so you punya keyword tu mesti in line dengan what you're trying to do. Okay, another reason why keyword is very important is that you must, because it helps the institution macam RMC apa semua to choose the reviewer. Okay, so whatever you have written in your proposal, okay, first kali dia akan tengok you punya what you call title and then your keywords. So from there, they will select the reviewer. So make sure you must properly address, okay, the keywords because it is going to determine your your reviewer. So getting the right reviewer is also important. Okay, so let's go back to the slides. Okay. Okay, this is also another crucial point. Credibility of the principal researcher. Okay, so kalau you nak jadi principal researcher, okay, you need to have a good publication track record. Okay, so makna kata you kena publish lah sebelum ni kena ada publication. And then when we're talking about publication, we are not talking about books or newspaper writing, so on and so forth. We are talking about journals, especially in Scopus Index journals. At least paling common kena ada 1 ataupun 2. So, kalau tidak ada, the chances of being rejected is very, very high. So make sure you need to have at least some publication. Okay, so yang ni mustahak lah, publication track record. Ada a few pun cukup lah, tak perlu banyak, tapi mesti ada. Okay, and then publication to make sure some of them are in Scopus lah minimum. Kalau tak ada SSCI pun at least minimum Scopus. Okay, janganlah you asyik publish dekat apa macam kat Kedah dia ada VOA, CIP journal yang internal journal lah. Try to publish in at least established journals. Okay, so publication track record is also important. Okay, and then publish in the area of the study. So that means if you are applying under gugusan ataupun under bidang ataupun under domain social science, that means you need to publish in social science journal. If you are applying under economics, so you need to make sure that you publish in the area of economics. So these are the things that the reviewer will look at. And then of course your previous grant track record. Okay, sebab kalau you tak dapat jadi leader pun, first kali you join orang lain dulu. So bila you join orang lain, makna kata you dah ada track record. So bila ada track record, so that means the reviewer knows that you are familiar with research. So that means the tendency for you to be able to conduct a good research is there. So that will give you a plus point for that. Okay, and then of course the proposal must be relevant to your research area. So this is also something that I have experienced. Kira lepas I balik daripada I punya postdoc tu, I applied for Frgs. Okay, I wanted to do something that I have started when I was in Durham. Okay, I wanted to do something on suku, so I applied on suku. So the proposal was on suku, and that particular proposal was rejected. Okay, so I belum publish in that area. Okay, so kadang-kadang lah benda-benda tu lah yang menyebabkan you punya proposal tu is being rejected. So you must make sure all these things are there if you are the leader. Bagi yang tak pernah ada projek pun, at least you jadi dia punya co-researcher pun, it's a very good start lah. Okay, so again, tengok balik publication track record, publish in your area of study, and then you mesti ada grant track record as well as your proposal must be relevant to your research area. Okay, the next important thing is to make sure that you choose the right domain and priority areas. Okay, so nanti I tunjuk balik dekat grant tu. Okay, so you must select the appropriate research domain. So preferably, if you are the main researcher or the principal researcher, it must be in line with your faculty. Okay, tu yang pertama. So kalau you daripada Fakulti Perikanan, daripada FPP, Fakultas Pengurusan Perniagaan, so your main domain will be social science. And then you choose your research cluster as well as national priority areas. Yang ni yang I selalu pening. Sebab research I tak ada kaitan pun dengan benda ni. But I'll just show you, okay, what I have chosen in the past. Okay. Okay. So research domain, of course, social science. Alright. And then I punya sub research domain is business, accounting, finance and marketing. Okay. Dulu yang ni mula-mula dulu masa I applied in 2017, I choose economics. Okay. Economics I tak lepas. 2018 pun I rasa I apply juga kot. And then I also put economics tak lepas. So in 2019 I put business lepas. So you have to play around lah. Okay. Alright. And then research cluster. Okay. Kalau social science tak banyak lah. Our choice is very limited. So normally it's only social and economic well-being. So this one at least is relevant. Okay. Priority area unfortunately for my research tak ada satu pun. So I pakai pick saja, food security. Okay. Sebenarnya tak ada relevan, cumanya in the proposal I've tried to incorporate food security as one of the variables, at least to match with all these things. Okay, so yang tu pun you nak kena tengok elok-elok jugalah you punya priority areas. Again, whatever you choose here will determine who your reviewers will be. Okay, whether it's in UiTM or at KPT. Okay, so choosing the right domain also impact your proposal ataupun the chances of getting or not getting that proposal. Okay, right. So let's go back to the slides. Okay, and then your location, normally the location is in UiTM lah, unless you are doing some field work. So you need to spell out where you are doing your field work. Okay, and then duration of your research. Okay, for FRGS normally it's 2 years. Okay, so you need to state which months, from which month to which month. Everything needs to be spelled out. So for example, the start date is September 2021 and then the end date is August 2023. Jangan silap yang ini, sebab yang ini silap pun there will be possibility that you will get rejected because this is so obvious. Okay, jangan pula you buat start date September, end date pun September, tu dah lebih 9 kan. Okay, so those are the things that you need to look at. Okay. The other crucial point is your co-researchers. Okay, so you must make sure that you select researchers that have relevant expertise. So for example, your area you nak buat pasal COVID, okay, pasal social science, the impact of well-being, psychological well-being, okay, of children, okay, in social after in the event of the COVID-19 pandemic. So ahli-ahli you mungkin kena ada somebody from the education department ataupun from psychology department. So some people who have relevant expertise, okay, in order for you to help you to get whatever that you are trying to apply. Okay, so can we have cross faculties? Of course we can. Okay. Because there are some research, for example, your research requires development of software or application, so you must have a member from FSKM, for example. Okay, so as long as the member has relevant expertise, so okay, you can have them. Okay, and then if possible, members, kalau boleh lah, they should have a few journal publications, so that will also help. Okay, because every single member has to be registered in MyGrant. So that's another thing lah. So make sure you punya members semua registered in MyGrant. If you're taking people or friends from universities, there's no problems. But normally everyone registers under MyGrant. But if you're taking people from one non-academician, okay, yang tu you need to help them to register with MyGrant. Or sometimes you have a co-researcher who are non-Malaysian but academician, so dia pun mesti kena register dengan MyGrant. Okay, So that is how they know whether your co-researcher is relevant or not relevant. But every time we register, we need to upload our expertise, our publication. So that is how the reviewers, okay, gets to know your co-researchers. Okay, so make sure the co-researchers are also relevant with your research. Sekali ada orang tanya pula, macam mana dengan junior lecturers? Sebab tu I kata not all lah, at least you need to have a mix. Probably you can have like 5 members, 2 of them are senior, probably 3 of them are junior lecturers. Okay, yang ada doctorate, yang tak ada doctorate, because we need to train them to do research as well. So you need to have that kind of combination. Okay. So janganlah sampai yang junior lecturers pun kita tak ambil kan. Kalau boleh kita galakkan jugalah dia orang. Okay. Sementara dia nak build dia punya CV ataupun dia punya portfolio. Okay. Cumanya whenever you are applying for any KPT grants, they will look at the principal researcher. As long as the principal researcher profile dia okay, especially in terms of publication, okay, selalunya insya-Allah dapat. Okay. Kalau you tak apa nak strong publication you, selalunya agak susah jugalah nak dapat. Tu je dia punya main issue. Alright. Okay, next is your executive summary. If I'm not mistaken, the word limit I think is 300. I'm not sure whether it's 250 or 300. Nanti kita tengok balik di borang. So if it says it's 250 words, that means you must stick to 250 words. Okay, so the good thing with the new FRGS form is that if when you write, they will give you the amount of words that you have written, and then if you exceeded the number of words that should be there, they akan keluar warning lah. Okay, so what do you need to write under your executive summary? So basically you must state what are the issues, okay, what are your problem statements, okay, your research questions, so that needs to be there. And then your research objective, your method, your scope, and then your expected results or policy implication. So these are the things that must be there in your executive summary. Okay, so let's look at one example. Okay. Okay, ini contoh example lah. Okay, this is my another proposal. Okay. So untuk COVID-19 ni, I was proposing rebuilding government coffers post-COVID-19. So what I was proposing is modified consumption tax, which is a version of GST and share trading profits tax. Okay, so this is the executive summary. Okay, so what I have written is my first paragraph. Okay, ini ada beberapa school of thought. Some school of thought dia kata executive summary tak boleh ada paragraph, okay? But I do not follow that school of thought. I tak ikut mazhab tu. So what I do is I normally segregate them, because what I want is that if I am the reviewer, if I put myself as a reviewer, I want to see things in order, okay? Structured in the way that I can easily see or easily read. So my first paragraph will be what are the issues that I am trying to address. So issues and problem statements will be in my first paragraph. Okay, and then my second paragraph constitutes the objective of my study, what I am planning to do. Okay, and then my third paragraph illustrates my methodology, okay, what I'm trying to do, what methods that I'm trying to do. And then my fourth paragraph, I put in my scope as well as limitation. So this was the additional thing that I put after the reviewers commented my this proposal. Okay, sebab dia kata you kena bubuh sikit, because if you're talking about COVID-19, so that the perspective is so big. Okay, I rasa I dah kecilkan scope lah, tapi dia rasa still so big, so I need to put in some of the scope or what are the limitations of the study. Okay, tapi sebenarnya I rasa tak perlu pun. Yang ni I was just responding to the reviewer. And then finally, you must have the outcome. Okay, the outcome of your study. So that is the way how I structured my my executive summary. So I'll show you another example. Okay, pun I buat lebih kurang sama yang I dapat dulu pun. Okay, more or less the same. Okay, so first of all, the first paragraph, okay, is the problem statement. So what are the issues, okay, that is related to the topic that I'm trying to do. And then of course, the second paragraph will be the methodology, how I was planning to achieve those objectives, and finally the outcome of the study. Okay, so benda-benda tu mesti ada. Alright. Okay. Kalau ada soalan sila tanya. Please ask questions if you have any. Okay. Otherwise, I'll go through the next stages. Okay. So the next thing, okay, that is in the FRGS proposal. Okay. Dalam borang tu is C1X is about detailed planning. So detailed planning is the most important part or the heart of your proposal. Okay, kat sini lah. Okay, the reviewers will read each and every word that you write because these are the things that will determine whether you get it or you don't get it. Okay, so under detailed planning, okay, there are some research background. We'll go through this in detail afterwards. Your references, the objective of the research, methodology, expected results, and benefits. So let's look at the first one, research background. Okay, research background consists of problem statement, hypothesis, research question, literature review, and relevance to government policy. So there are 5 elements under research background. Okay, so let's look at the example. Okay. So I'll be looking at 2 examples. Okay, problem statement. Okay, so what do you write in your problem statement? Okay, dalam problem statement, so normally the first paragraph, you will write about the issues. Okay, what are the issues pertaining to your topic? Okay, so you must highlight that in your first paragraph. Okay, and then the next thing that you can do is what have been done. So what are the things that has been done in that particular area of your study. Okay, and then of course the third paragraph, okay, what the study is trying to do. Okay, given all this problem and given what has been done, but you have to highlight that what have been done is still inadequate. So what are you planning to propose? So what are you trying to do? Okay, given all this problem or given the gravity of the problems that you have written here. Okay, so those are the things that you need to really do. Okay, so that would be your problem statement. Okay, once you have written your problem statement, okay, you need to address or you need to write down the objectives of your study. Okay, the objective of your study has to be consistent with what you have written in this paragraph here. Okay, so make sure whatever you have written here is reflected in here. Okay, so for example, I bubuh kat sini, I punya study, I want to identify the most feasible consumption tax to strengthen government revenue. Okay, I'm doing simulation. That's why I wrote simulate. Okay, to simulate as well as forecast appropriate rates for consumption tax on goods and services, to simulate forecast appropriate rates for capital gain tax for trading profits and shares. Okay, and then based on all these things, I am going to provide the government with an evidence-based policy suggestion. So this is the hype words that people are using nowadays, evidence-based policy suggestions. So you bolehlah you bolehlah ikut kalau you nak. So these are the elements that needs to be in your problem statement. Okay, so first paragraph you need to discuss the issue, okay, and then you need to discuss what has been done, okay, so far, and then last kali baru you come out, because of all these things ada yang tak ada lagi, so you kena buat this research so that we can do this. Okay, so those are the things that you need to write in your problem statement. Okay, so we continue. Okay, hypothesis. Okay, again hypothesis must be in line with your problem statement as well as your research questions. So I'll go through any lah, hypothesis, research questions, and literature review. Okay, so let's have a look. Okay, I'll share another one. Okay, ni I punya FRGS lama. Okay, so tengok dia mesti kena inline your hypothesis, research question as well as research objective. Okay, so my first hypothesis, income inequality is present among Malaysian people across different groups due to various political, social and economic factors. So yang ni political, social, economic factors, this will be my control variables, I think. So income inequality is prevalent in some states and not so in some other states. So an index of income inequality can be used to compare the income gap across states. And then hypothesis 3, the right policy to solve income inequality can be implemented by government subject to proper identification and assessment. Okay. Okay, so my hypothesis needs to be in line with my research question. So for example, for the first hypothesis, okay, I have a research question, why does a significant income gap occurs among different groups of people in Malaysia? Subsidiary questions, what are the types of inequality in Malaysia and what are the underlying factors contributing to its existence? Okay, I punya style ni, you mungkin nak ikut, mungkin tak perlu ikut. Okay, some people they map hypothesis 1 with RO1 with research objective 1. Boleh juga, it can be one sentence. Maksud I wanted to clarify ataupun to do it in more detail, so that is why I have a subsidiary question. Okay, and then my second research question, how prevalent is inequality level across different states in Malaysia? So that is something that I want to know. Okay, so my subsidiary question would be, how would information about its types and underlying factors be used to determine the level of income gaps across states? And then for my third research question, how would different economic, financial, government policies help to reduce income inequality? Okay, so semua ni kena flow lah. Okay, and then if you look at the research objective, so borang ni pelik patutnya duduk sekali, tapi dia duduk jauh-jauh. Research objective, so the main objective of this study is to identify relevant factors contributing towards income inequality and propose a new comprehensive model to alleviate the problem. So the prime objective is to identify the types of income inequality, to investigate the role of space or proximity, how that affects income inequality, and then to examine the prevalence of income inequality across different states in Malaysia. And then finally to propose a new comprehensive model which can be used to alleviate the problem of inequality. Okay, so itulah yang yang mungkin challenging lah. Okay, untuk buat. Okay, so tak challenging lah sebenarnya, boleh buat doable. Cuma you have to sit down and focus, okay, to make sure that everything is synchronized and consistent. Okay, alright, and then next is your theoretical literature review. Okay, the way I do my literature review is affected by my area of study. Okay, so normally even when we're writing papers, okay, kalau orang people in economics, normally we will write on something on theoretical review as well as empirical review. Okay, but if you are in business or accounting, you might have a different style. So do whatever that is common with your area or with your faculty or what you normally do. Okay, so macam I normally segregate dua lah. Okay, I normally have one section on theoretical review as well as another section on empirical review. Okay, so up to you. Okay, that how you want to write your LR. Okay, cumanya what you must do is that you must identify what are the things that has not been done yet and what are the things that you are trying to address, okay, given what have been done in that particular area. Okay, so macam I tulis, okay, given whatever that I've discussed here, there is still lack of studies on the dynamic impact of monetary policy and financial deepening. That means these two things going together. Okay, okay. Benda ni sebabnya, for example, Imoni, they have suggested, okay, in 2017 that there has to be a concurrent analysis between those two. You cannot separate those two things together. Okay, you must try to use one of these variables as moderating variables or etc. So that has not been done yet. So these are the things that I can capture and do it in this particular research. Okay, because I believe that monetary as well as financial stability have simultaneous effect on income inequality. Okay, so what you're trying to do in this paragraph here, you are trying to identify what are the gaps, okay, that has not been addressed yet in this particular area. Okay, and then once you have written on this, okay, so another thing that you need to look at is the references. So references, make sure the references are quite recent. Okay, you have at least 4 or 5 of your references has to be 5 years and below, ataupun within 5 years. So the reason that is cited most of the time by the reviewers is to make sure that your study is still relevant. Kalau you punya references 20 tahun, 30 tahun yang lepas, boleh. Okay, boleh, tak ada masalah. But not everything should be 20 or 30 years punya past paper. Okay, kena ada recent paper. That is to ensure that what you're doing is still relevant to the world today. Okay, and then of course you must take the relevance to government policy. Walaupun kat sini they write if any. Okay, that means you logically you can leave this space blank, but never ever do that. Okay, you must write every single thing that you can write. Okay, so make sure whatever you do is relevant to the government policy. So for example, I'm doing on income inequality. Income inequality is one of the 17 SDG. Okay, it is relevant to SDG number 10, which is reducing income inequality, and SDG number 11, which is sustainable cities, communities. Okay, these SDG goals are adopted by the Malaysian government. That is why if you look at the Department of Statistics, they have a section dedicated on SDGs. Okay, so apa SDG goals, what are the instruments that they use to measure those SDG. Memang every year memang ada report lah on our achievement of these 17 SDGs. So whatever that you're doing is relevant to what the government or consistent with what the government is also doing. Okay, SDGs ni. Okay, and then whatever that you propose, for example, yang ni I argue in my proposal, okay, whatever I'm doing is consistent with the 5-year Malaysia Plan 2016 to 2020 or the 11th Malaysia Plan. So in the 11th Malaysia Plan, there was this objective, which is to anchor growth on people or anchoring growth on people. So when we're doing this, that means we need to address the problem of inequality. So indirectly, it is relevant to this particular government policy. Okay, so kalau you tak jumpa apa, you cari juga yang mana ada lebih kurang yang boleh fit in into your proposal. Okay, cari yang mana government policies mesti ada punya. Okay, kalau tak directly related, it must be indirectly related. Okay, so having said that, okay, if I wanted to, macam you all lah, you wanted to propose something new. Contohnya, you rasa macam contohnya green energy, okay, is new. You nak buat on green energy, tapi tak ada government punya initiative on green energy in social science. Okay, so can you still do that? Of course, you can still do that. Okay, so what you need to do is you ambil semua green energy punya apa orang panggil examples, tapi relate it to social science. Okay, so one of the obvious ones, okay, you boleh ambil contoh Bank Negara Malaysia. Bank Negara Malaysia, they have incorporated all this green stuff in social science via suku. If you have come across this concept of green suku, okay, so you mungkin boleh adapt or adopt those examples to apply in your proposal. So siapa yang minat green ni memang there is actually a potential area, okay, in this study. In fact, green, not only green energy but also green things in social science, okay, can be a new source of income or new income growth mechanisms in the future. Okay, so that is what you can write in the section on relevance to government policy. Whatever that you write, so you must make sure that you can cite which particular government policy. Okay, you must explicitly spell out which government policies that you are looking at. Okay, let's go back to the slides. Okay. So the next thing is references, which I've mentioned just now. So normally, the ideal number of references should be between 15 to 30. Lebih tak apa, okay? Lebih tak apa. But we are at least looking for a minimum of 15, okay, to 30 references, relevant references. Okay, where the majority of the papers has to be under 5 years. So maknanya paper from 2020, 2019, 2018, and then in some journals they already have paper from 2021. Okay, so maknanya kalau boleh try to find papers that are 2016 and above for this year's application. Okay, majority means at least minimum mesti 5 paper 2016 and above. Okay, so try to do that. And then another important thing is that we need to cite or include journals, or we need to cite journal papers from experts in the area, including papers from Q1 and Q2 journals. So kalau boleh, seboleh-bolehnya try to do this. Okay, your references kalau boleh daripada Q1 and Q2 journals. Okay, sebab apa I stress benda ni? Sebab contohnya you nak ambil you punya economic model ataupun you punya theoretical model. Kalau you ambil daripada Q1 and Q2 journals, okay, the tendency that people will argue, oh this model cannot be used, ataupun this particular empirical model ni is not okay. Okay, you boleh argue balik lah, this one ataupun the model that you adopted is from a Q1 or Q2 journal, so it's very strong. Okay, in fact kalau reviewers pun when they read, they check the journal, they tahu dia memang okay dah lah. Okay, so for example, if you are writing on inequality like I did for example, okay, so I need to have in my references people like Piketty, Shumanja, okay, Dihan. So these are the people who writes a lot on this area, so their names needs to be there. Okay, macam Shumanja tu dia adalah a few, not that much, but then the paper is highly cited. So you must include all those papers in your references as well as in your literature review. Okay, so these are the plus points, okay, the small details that can help you to secure the FRGS grants. Okay, Alright, so ni kita dah go through tadi, objective of the research. So normally reviewers will look at least for 3 objectives. Okay, yang selalu yang you nampak I bubuh tadi, I have 4 objective kan. Okay, the 4th objective is basically policy implication lah. Because in social science normally our main contribution is policy implication. So that has to be there in your research. Even kalau you tulis paper pun in social science, mesti ada policy implication. Kalau tak ada tu memang your papers chances of getting rejection is very high. Okay, so the words normally that can normally be used in FRGS, okay, for example, to examine, to identify, to investigate, to propose. So these are the words that you can play around, okay, that you can use, or anything that is similar to this that can be used to write your objective. Okay, and most importantly, you must make sure that whatever that you have written here in your objective must be in line with your research hypothesis as well as research questions. Semua ni kena consistent. Okay, and then for research methodology, okay, you need to properly describe your methodology, and then you need to provide a flow chart of your research activities. Okay, and then for your research activities you need to identify the exact start date as well as end dates. Okay, all this must be consistent, okay, with your description of methodology as well as your flowchart. Sekali lagi I tunjuk macam mana I buat I punya. Okay, and of course you mesti ada, you need to have your milestone. Okay, your milestone has to reflect whatever you have written here. So your end dates ni must be the same end dates as in your milestone. So these things must be consistent. Okay, and then for milestone you need to have the accumulation project completion in percentages. I'll show you this afterwards. Okay, alright, so we'll look at that first. Okay, let me show you an example. Okay, this is how I write my methodology. Okay, ni yang research COVID I tu. Okay, so my methodology, I put this, my methodology has 5 stages. Okay, right. Dulu the way I write my methodology is almost similar to how I write my papers. Okay, kalau dalam economics ni kita ada yang itulah kita punya econometric models, okay, but apparently by doing that I got rejections, okay, for 2 consecutive years. So in my 3rd year I have designed this in this way so that hopefully I can get the grant, and alhamdulillah I got the grant. Okay, so I have been doing this for twice now. Having said that, okay, tak perlulah you all ikut speed. You might have your own style of doing things. Okay, so that style might also win you the FRGS proposal. So whatever it is, just do it. Okay, yang ni I tunjuk I punya contoh sahajalah. Okay, it might be relevant, it might not be relevant. So in my study I have 5 stages. So the first stage, okay, and the initial stage, so this involves understanding the issues, blah blah blah. Okay, so under initial stage as well as stage 1, I'm going to identify the positive and negative implication of GST, identify and understanding the source of resentment over GST during its implementation, post GST and how SST fares since 2018, and then investigation of psychological issues, the role of mass media and Sharia perspective on GST. So I'm going to do that in the initial stage. So this is how I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm going to compare this with other countries. Okay, so I'm going to look at the selection of rates. How do UK, Japan, Australia in my sample? How do they select the rates, the sectoral coverage? How do they implement this consumption tax? Okay, the timing of the implementation, selection of instruments. Okay. Evolution of the rates and coverage, and number of years for the system to mature. Okay, so these are the things that I am planning to do. Okay, and then under the second stage, okay, I'm going to examine the challenges, misconceptions, and potential technical problems with consumption tax. So I'm going to interview all these people in MOH, Bank Negara, okay, Ministry of Religious Affairs, Custom, okay. Seelok-eloknya, if you were to do this, kalau boleh spell out their names, okay, that will be much better. Okay, and then stage 3 baru I start I punya simulation. So I'm going to do my simulation. So the models that I'm going to use is, first I'm going to use just the naive model, and then I'm going to use artificial neural network, and then I am also going to experiment with vector support machine, and then MCMC with Gibbs samplings. Okay. Alright, and then for the purpose of robustness, okay, so this is the new thing in at least economics, okay. Well, how do you test for robustness? Robustness is very important to make sure that your results are efficient. Boleh percaya atau tak boleh percaya you punya results. So you need to offer some kind of robustness test. So I'm also offering some robustness test here. And then under stage 4, I'm going to test the feasibility of implementation for both rates that I am trying to propose. Okay, so I dah buat simulation kat sini, and then I kena buat testing pula based on what I have simulated. And then stage 4, the final stage, stage 5, baru I consolidate all the findings in all stages. Okay, so whatever that I have written here, okay, I must make sure that it is consistent with my milestone, okay, as well as my research activities. So mesti kena consistent. So kalau you ada 5 stages in your methodology, you must have 5 stages also in your milestone as well as your research activities. Okay, so you kena tunjuklah initial step, okay, target date of completion. Okay, so dalam FRGS ada percentages, nanti I'll show you the form. Okay, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, what do you do? Okay, and then your research activities, okay, apa benda. Okay, so whatever it is, make sure that they are consistent. Okay, so 3 benda ni kena consistent. Whatever that you've written in your methodology, whatever you have written in your research activities, and then your milestone, they have to be consistent. The dates must be consistent. So let me show you the form. Okay, so dalam form, it will look something like this. Okay, so again, I punya methodology, I have my initial stage, I have stage 1, okay, and then I have stage 2, okay, and then I have stage 3, stage 4, so I have 4 stages. So when I write my activities, so make sure stage ni pun mesti ada. Cumanya I added in a few more things lah. I added a review of literature, okay, I have 1 initial steps, okay. Okay, and then I have stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, and then summing up as well as submission. So make sure cukup-cukup lah daripada you punya start date 1/9/2019, dia punya end date pun mesti lebih kurang tu jugalah. Okay, yang ni I bubuk awal sikit lah, sedikit awal. Okay, because I wanted to make sure that I've written enough. Okay, and then your milestone will also correspond, the dates here must correspond to this particular date here. So for example, initial stage, ni I punya silap sikit lah. Okay, patut I 30/9, construction of okay, 31/1/2020, so sama lah. And then stage 2, 30th of June, so lebih kurang sama lah. So yang ni stage 2. Okay, so whatever it is, make sure they are consistent. Okay, the Gantt chart will be automatically generated based on what you have written here. Okay, based on what you have written here. Okay, so yang ni you don't have to worry lah. So everything is being written here. Okay, so let's go back to the slides. Okay, sikit lagi nak habis dah. Okay, expected results. or benefits. So this is also an important section. Okay, so first there are 6 elements that needs to be addressed here. The first one is what are the novel theories that you're trying to propose in your proposal. What are the expected new findings on new knowledge, benefits, okay, based on what you have written. Okay, and then you need to write about your research publication. You nak publish dekat mana. Okay, specific or potential applications of whatever your results have generated. Okay, number of PhD or master by research students. Okay, PhD minimum 1. Okay, master by research 2. Cuma PhD ni memang tak boleh complete lah dalam masa 2 tahun lah, memang lebih lah. Cuma as long as you can have 1 PhD students, okay lah. Okay, and then impact on the society, economy and nation. You want to delineate or describe expected research deliverables. Okay, intellectual property. Okay, so let's look at some of the some examples. Okay. Okay. So this is an example of how I wrote the impact. Okay, impact for academics, impact for society, impact for the industry, okay, impact on the economy, and then impact on the nation. Okay, expected results, ini novel theories. So you cakap lah apa bendanya. Okay, so this is something that I propose. Okay, positive opinions and challenges will be generated variables as support and resistance. So this is something I found that tak ada orang buat lagi lah. Okay, and then publication ni, you need to spell out the exact journal. So for example, I tulis it's me, International Journal of Tax and Public Finance. Dapat tak dapat belakang kira. First, you need to specify which journal that you're planning to send. Okay, and then spell out the ISSN number and EISSN number, okay, and then tulis where it is being indexed, whether it's in SSCI or in Scopus. Di UiTM, Scopus is preferable compared to SSCI. Okay, why? Because when we are talking about QS ranking, mereka pakai Scopus. So make sure kalau boleh cari journal yang index in Scopus. Okay, so if you find an SSCI journal, so you boleh tulis lah impact, dia punya impact factor. Okay, kalau Scopus journal dia tidak ada impact factor tapi dia ada side score lah. So you boleh letak dia punya side score for Scopus index journal. Okay, alright. So yang ni saya tunjuk bagi another one. For FRGS. Okay, so for example, yang ni I propose a title. Okay, individual state income inequality, a new approach. Okay, I'm planning to send it to International Journal of Economics and Management, Scopus Q3. Okay, income into distance matter. I'm planning to send it to the Journal of South Asian Studies, Scopus Q2. Okay, and then combine effects of monetary, fiscal, and financial development to reduce income inequality, myth and reality, proposal Pano Economica, Scopus Q2. Okay, so I'm planning to have at least 3 publications. I think for FRGS, you only need to have like 2 publications if I'm not mistaken. Okay, alright. So number of master student, make sure 2. So kalau you tulis ini 2, makna kata nanti dalam you punya budget pun make sure you have 2 master student. If you want to have 1 PhD student, so in your budget you will also have 1 master student. Okay, so that has to be consistent as well. Alright, so potential application, so you boleh buat lah for private sector macam I tulis for private sector what will be the potential application, and then for private sectors and NGO, how can my research be used by them? Okay, impact on the society. Okay, again I mention balik dia consistent dengan new economic model 2011 to 2020 as well as the SDG goals. Okay, and then intellectual property, mungkin daripada you punya yang I develop kat sini ni. Okay, I'm going to have 1 intellectual property. So minimum 1 yang ni pun jangan tinggal kosong, make sure you tulis. Okay, and then access to equipment and material. Okay, so for example, this is how I wrote my access to materials. Okay, so I banyak guna software. So this are the softwares that I need to use, MATLAB, Status, SAS and R. So all these are available in UiTM Kedah. Okay, so I wrote it down there. Okay, we go back to the slides. Okay, so I took this from Baker et al. 2015. Okay, so when you're talking or when you're writing on the impact of the research, okay, it refers to the benefits of the research will have on the knowledge, society as well as the economy. So this is again in line with the FRGS. Dia ada contribution in terms of knowledge and the impact on the society as well as impact on the economy. So dua-dua elemen ni memang ada, tiga-tiga elemen ni memang ada dalam FRGS punya application form. So many application form requires an impact statement or impact summary. This is called by the reviewers as part of the application process. Okay, so this is something normal. So an impact statement reviewed as excellent could give the application advantage over other similar proposals. So make sure that your impact statement is impactful. Okay. And vice versa. So impact statement should be specific to your research project. Again, it should contain clear and concise details about the deliverables. So whatever that you have written, okay, apa benefit of your results? How can it benefit the society or the economy? So that has to be clearly and concisely spelled out in your written proposal. Okay, so it should include when, how this will be delivered, and how the strength and experience of your team will contribute to the anticipated impact being delivered. This will be assessed by your reviewer. Okay, that's why they will look at the profile of the main researcher as well as the co-researcher, especially the main researcher. Okay, and then finally, we're going to look at the budget. Okay, what I found, of course, what happened to me in 2019. Okay, this is after I have corrected or revised my budget. Okay, so budget to 70% went on wages and salary. We are talking about wages and salary on GRA, makna kata student yang buat master dengan kita. I think it's one of the university's objective is to increase our postgraduate population. So melalui grant ni lah kita boleh ambil student ataupun bayar student untuk buat PhD dengan kita, contohnya lah. Okay, so that is why in my budget I was told to put at least 70% of my budget here, and then travelling around 10% saja. Yang ni dia ada cap lah, yang ni. Okay, rental tak ada cap, research materials and supplies tak ada cap, tapi yang apply for stationery apa semua kena potong. Okay, semua kena potong lah. Maintenance pun it is there for there. Okay. Okay, and then professional services, yang ni mesti kena ada lah, especially on English editing. And then some journals, they have submission fees, and some journals, they have publication fees. Some journals have both submission as well as publication fees. Okay, and then accessories and equipment, ni takat ada je lah. We cannot even apply for this. Okay, ni cuma ornament sahaja. Okay, alright. So let's have a look of how I've written the budget. Oops. So this is my budget. So ni after revise. Okay, salary. Okay, I was planning to take 2 master students, so 1,500. Okay, and with that amount of money, I can only employ them for 28.8 months. Okay, which is actually quite good. Okay, but in reality, I did not get 2 master student. In fact, but I got 1 PhD student. So I revised balik lah. So this one becomes 2,300. Cuma number of months has reduced significantly. Okay, my travelling has been severely cut. Okay, dipotong dengan banyaknya. I requested for I think 10,000, but they reduced it to 8,000. Okay, rental tidak ada. Okay, supplies, yang ni lah I beritahu you all tu. I applied for stationeries which include paper, pen, etc. etc. Everything has been cut off. They only approve for me buying this software. Okay, tapi dia approve pun 1,000 saja. Software ni 5,000 sampai sekarang I nak beli pun tak boleh beli lagi. Okay, but I'm still trying lah. Okay, service and repair of course tak ada. Okay, professional and services, I put some money for English editing as well as publication fees. Okay, and then I do have some requests for short-term courses. So these are all here. Yang ni lah accessories lah. Dia memang accessory lah. Tak boleh apply pun yang ni sebab you can't buy computers or anything like that. So it is void. Okay. Alright. Let's go back to the slides. Okay, and then ni dah habis dah. Declaration. Okay, so there are 5 things. Okay, normally we will tick 1 and 2. Okay, try to avoid 3 because number 3 is saying that you have actually sent the same application elsewhere. That means your proposal is being reviewed somewhere else. So normally kalau you tick number 3 ni, there is a possibility that you will get rejection. Okay. Okay, number 4 is on ethics. Okay, ethics committee. Okay, normally if you are conducting any kind of interview or doing any experiments on something that is alive, whether it's on human or animals, you need to have this ethics approval. Okay, so kalau you ada interview orang ke apa, make sure you tick. If you are solely doing on secondary data or using secondary data, do not tick number 4. Okay, number 5, if you are still having an ongoing FRGS. Okay, if you are a leader, if you are a co-researcher, don't tick. Okay, number 5. Alright, so finally is the appendix. Okay, let's look at the appendix. So normally for the appendix, I would suggest that you upload your research design and research flow. So what is research design and what is research flow? So this is one way of doing it. This is not the best way of doing it, but it is one way of doing your research flow. So your research flow, again, it has to be consistent with your methodology. Okay, so I am reiterating whatever that I have done in my methodology, but I am presenting it in a different way. Okay, so for my research flow, I have my phase, I have my activities, description as well as output. So initial stage, this is what I'm going to do, okay, how I'm going to do it, and what will be my output. Okay, then for stage 2, what I'm going to do, so how I'm going to do it, and these are the things that I'm trying to achieve under stage 1, and then stage 2, stage 3, and stage 4 as well as stage 5. Okay, and then this has also must correspond properly with your research design. So this is how I do my research design. Okay, so I have my title here. Okay, and then I have my research question as well as research objective. Kalau you ada research hypothesis, probably you can put another box here lah for your research hypothesis. Okay, so I nak tunjuk kat you macam mana what I'm saying about consistency. Contohnya, if my research question is what kind of taxes should be introduced, so my research objective will be to identify the most feasible consumption tax to help rebuild the treasury. Okay, and then my research question number 2, what would be the rate of the consumption tax? So my research objective will be to simulate and forecast the appropriate rates for consumption taxes on goods and services. So make sure they are consistent. So this is what I mean by being consistent. Okay. Lepas tu you kena tunjuk flow you from your research question and then your research objective. Okay. So what do you do? Okay. Kat sini, to achieve research objective number 1, I will identify the different types of tax. To achieve research question number 2, research objective and research question number 2, I'm going to do some simulation. And then how I'm going to do it? Okay, so I'm going to interview some of the experts and then come up with the mechanisms. Okay, and then I've got these new findings here. For my simulation, I'm going to simulate, okay, and then I'm going to identify what are the challenges that I'm going to face, okay, and then from here I also will have to probably conduct some expert interview here, and then I'll come up with the rate and timing of the implementation of the new tax rates. Okay, so all this coming together, okay, I will finally contextualize whatever that I have done, and then finally I will come up with an evidence-based policy suggestion. So everything is neatly flow. Okay, okay, they are consistent and they are neatly flow. That's why you need to come out, you need to draw this diagram, because it is going to help the reviewers to understand what you are trying to do. Okay, so let's go back to the slides. Oh, I've just realized I've talked so much. 1.5 hours of talking. Alright, okay, so finally, so what do you do if your guide proposal is rejected? Okay, I would say that 50% of my proposal is rejected, so never give up. Okay, revise the proposals, okay, read the reviews comments, and then based on those comments, you try to improve and rectify whatever weaknesses that you have. Okay, it's the same thing with paper publication. You get rejections all the time. So it's normal. Okay, so what you need to do is address the comments, try to improve. You'll get there somehow, inshallah. Okay, and then of course you must submit. Okay, if you don't submit, you will not get it. If you submit and get rejections, you can at least rectify what you have written. So the first step is to submit a research proposal. This is a learning process. Okay, if you get it, you are successful. If you don't get it, it's a learning process. So in the meantime, beef up your CVs, especially on journal publication, okay, and be co-researchers in other projects. So sebelum you nak, kalau tak dapat jadi ketua, okay, you jadi co-researcher dulu, tumpang orang lain dulu, okay, and then of course improve your CV, especially in journal publication. But that is the criteria that they look at when you are applying for government grants. Okay, kalau tak ada, create opportunities. So this is what I've been doing nowadays. Okay, I'm trying to create opportunities. Okay, cari grant-grant tempat lain. Okay, contohnya we have recently I found out tapi tak sempat nak apply yayasan apa? Yang khazanah tu. So they have been having grants. Yang tu siapa yang suka buat social work, so you could probably apply for that particular grant. Yayasan khazanah, we have yayasan apa Bukhari. So boleh minta yang Terengganu punya state government pun ada keluar grant 50,000, which is quite a good amount. Okay, and then kementerian dia memang ada grants. So it's up to you to go and approach them. Okay, so itulah kisahnya. Alright, and then finally, okay, your final checklist. Okay, lepas ni kalau boleh get somebody to read your proposal, because sometimes when you are reading or writing a proposal, we tak nampak you punya mistake. Okay, so it will be good to have somebody else, okay, to review your proposal. So those are the things that you need to do. For example, have you highlighted the importance of the research topic, the strength of the research team, and the university? Would a pre-submission wider review of application be relevant? So FRGS kita tak relevant lah. Do we need a letter of support from lay companies, firms and collaborators? Yang ni kalau contohnya macam I buat tadi kan, if I want to get some help for MOF, okay, kalau boleh if I can get a letter from MOF, That would be good. If you are applying PRGS, prototype, so make sure you need to have letters from your collaborators. That will score you a lot of points. Makna kata, whatever you're doing, industry now. Okay, so try to get letters from collaborators. Okay, and then what about the ethical issues? Okay, have you considered relevant legislation and regulatory issues? For example, data handling and storage. Okay, kat mana you nak dapat you punya data? Check the details. Ensure that they are correct. That means you have realistic start date, all sections are completed. Ensure that the application is clear, concise, systematic with maximum impact, and then make a plan for what happens next if you are successful or unsuccessful. So those are the things lah yang I boleh share. So itu saja kot. I'm so sorry I took so long, sampai sejam setengah I bercakap. I hope I do not bore you to death. Okay, so with that I thank you and I welcome any questions. Thank you very much.
Okay, terima kasih banyak-banyak Prof. Saya kira memang banyaklah input yang kita dapat kan. 1 jam setengah memang padat, memang banyak input yang kita dapat. Okay, mungkin ada soalan daripada kawan-kawan. Kita ada 30 minit lagi. Saya ada soalan sikit Prof. Saya tak tahulah soalan ke ataupun mungkin sharing daripada saya jugalah kan. Macam saya bidang multimedia computing. Okay. Tapi saya attach dengan fakulti FBP. Sebab masa saya mula-mula interview dulu, saya dapat fakulti, masa tu kita ada Office Management Technology. Kemudian bila saya habis PhD tu, Office Management Technology ni dia diserap ke fakulti FBP. So fakulti Office Management Technology ni memang tak. Masa tu saya, experience saya sendirilah. Saya apply FRGS ni sejak daripada tahun masa sebelum kita ada sistem migrant lagi. Masa manual dulu kan. Sejak tahun, sebab saya start writing tahun 2009. First writing saya masa tu pun dah index corpus. Publish dalam Springer masa tu. Then daripada situlah saya dapat semangat untuk PhD, untuk writing, untuk try je FRGS ni kan. Sampai tahun, saya try masa tu daripada tahun 2010, 2011. Masa tu kita ada 2 fasa kan Prof. Setahun ada 2 fasa kan masa tu. Setiap fasa tu memang saya apply. Lepas tu mungkin masa tu saya tak ada doktor apa lagi kan. Tapi dalam grup tu saya invite saya punya supervisor masa tu. Bakal supervisor saya lah masa tu. Tapi memang tak dapat jugalah. Okay, sampailah saya ingat saya tak dapat, okay tak apalah, saya buat PhD. Saya buat PhD tahun 2012 sampai 2015. So masa PhD tu saya memang dah dapat scholarship. Saya tak apply pun lah sebab masa tu dah ada grant daripada UiTM sendiri. Kemudian balik daripada PhD, saya apply lagi. Okay. Tak dapat juga Prof. Daripada tahun, tak dapat. 2016, 2017, 2018 saya apply, tak dapat. And then sampailah 2019 tu saya apply tapi saya sacrifice je, saya apply under UUM sebab saya punya PhD under UUM. So saya apply under saya punya external examiner masa tu sebab masa tu saya punya supervisor pun dia ada juga jadi ketua untuk projek dia dengan student yang lain, tapi dia ambil saya jugalah jadi project member. Kemudian saya apply under UUM tu, terus dapat Prof. Dapat, tapi proposal tu memang the whole content memang saya yang tulis. Sebab saya punya research, memang saya punya research PhD kan. Kemudian dalam tahun 2019 kan kita ada resa. Kan ada resa, kemudian saya apply juga. Tapi sebab saya tak cukup syarat sebab resa tu dia nak yang 5 tahun perkhidmatan kan. Tapi kita belum dapat lagi mana-mana research grant. Belum jadi ketua mana-mana research grant kan. So saya apply yang tu, memang the whole proposal pun saya yang tulis. Tapi kawan saya di UUM yang jadi ketua. So itu pengalaman saya lah. Saya tak tahu sebab apa saya tak dapat di UiTM tu. Mungkin juga, saya tak tahulah, mungkin sebab tadi Prof ada sebut berkenaan research domain kan. Selari dengan fakulti. Kemudian sebab saya buat saya punya research domain ICT lah. Kemudian bila saya attach dengan Department of Research ni dengan PJI kan. So saya buat saya punya fakulti tu saya buat PJI bahagian ni Department of Research ni. Sebab saya punya bidang tu memang human computer interaction, teknologi lah, multimedia computing. Saya tak tahu sebab ni tahun lepas saya apply juga, tapi sebab kita kan kena blacklist tu kan, so tak sure kan macam mana. So tahun ni mungkin saya akan apply lagi lah sebagai leader tu. Tadi ni saya tak dapat lagi sebagai leader tu, walaupun sebenarnya FRGS 2019 semua tu memang saya yang lead lah sebab memang saya punya projek kan.
Okay, congratulations. You have achieved well, I think in your pool. Satu reviewer, and the reviewer tu is your domain tu lah. Macam you pun you dah boleh identify kan your main problem is your research domain. Sebab you duduk pada PP, tapi benda yang you lebih kepada computer science apa semua tu kan. So what you can do is go and talk with RMC. Contohnya Dr. tu dah tak ada lah, Prof lah ataupun Dr. Umi. Dr. Anida. Talk to them, discuss your problem. Sebab kalau you dapat, pasal UiTM you tak dapat. So then the problem. Yang you tak boleh control tu, tapi at least you try to budge in. Try to tengok balik lah, kira is there something wrong with your proposal ataupun something wrong with your
itulah saya tak sure sebab proposal tu memang research interest, research idea tu semua tu benda yang sama lah.
Ya.
Memang saya tak tukar pun saya punya research interest ke apa kan, memang yang sama. Daripada saya sebelum PhD, saya punya bidang yang tu, memang sampai habis PhD pun saya punya bidang memang yang tu lah. Jadi track record sebab saya punya publication pun memang since 2009 memang sampai lepas tu every year memang saya ada publish scopus. At least 2 scopus tu memang ada lah every year tu.
So rasa technical problem kot your problem ni.
Jadi saya
kadang-kadang bila silap domain tu yang menyebabkan tak dapat
silap domain tu. Sebab bila bagi pada reviewer komen, dia tak ada on technical part dalam proposal tu kan. Dia tak komen dah part tu. Adalah sikit-sikit macam dekat bajet. So bila saya betulkan, bila sampai ke KPT, reject
balik.
Dia frust tu saya tak apalah, saya sacrifice dia tahun lepas 2019 tu kan. Nak try, nak tengok betul ke saya punya research area, niche area saya ni betul ke tak diperlukan kan. So saya try under UUM. So dapat sebab kawan-kawan saya di universiti lain yang dalam research interest area yang sama tu tiap-tiap kali apply mesti dapat.
Lepas tu lagi satu lah faktor yang kita tak control. UiTM ni ramai.
Itulah.
Yang cakap pasal percentage yang mereka recommend dan tak recommend kan. So that is another issue lah. Tapi korang tahu yang kebanyakan reviewer dia akan recommend.
Betul. Mereka reviewer dia recommend.
Kadang-kadang UiTM okey sampai ke tengok UiTM 700 lebih. I nak bagi 300 lebih lah. For example 300. So mana yang not there for that particular year, dia akan buang yang tu dulu.
Betul.
Kadang-kadang it's not because your proposal is not good. Sometimes there are other uncontrollable factors. Itulah macam this year kalau boleh do anything, kalau relate your proposal tu to COVID-19. Sebab COVID-19 is very impactful. So kok mana pun dalam proposal ada perkataan COVID-19. How do you improve the society aftermath of COVID-19? Sebab COVID-19 impact dia memang sangat besar lah. Not only formulation but over. You can see economies collapsing, people are going out of jobs, inequality is increasing. So the impact is huge. Memang it wouldn't be there forever, but the impact akan rasa for at least a few more years. So what can be done to remedy those problems? So you mesti ada kaitan dengan benda tu lah.
Okay Prof. InsyaAllah.
InsyaAllah doa banyak-banyak.
Kemudian Prof kan, kalau berkaitan dengan ni lah, guideline. Macam kita di UiTM ni kan, kita akan jadi banyak guideline tambahan. Contohnya macam kena ada ahli daripada Shah Alam baru nak dapat. Sebab bila kita tengok macam previous proposal, kita akan jadi tercreate guideline tu sendiri. Contohnya kita tengok proposal government kita, oh patutlah dia dapat. Dia ada ahli daripada Shah Alam. Macam tu. Itu pun antara menyumbang juga ke Prof?
Ya, menyumbang. Sebab sekarang ni we are going for ranking. Sekarang ni kan Prof Rozi dah naik balik dah. Prof Rozi ni dia orang ranking. Tengok dia so dia punya gerakan tu akan synchronize. So when we are talking about ranking ni Shah Alam. So that is why we want to make sure that people in Shah Alam jadi sama ada co-researcher or principal researcher. That means memang kena include lah.
Kena include lah.
Ya, kalau boleh include.
Okay, ada soalan daripada kawan-kawan kan? Okay, ya.
Saya ada soalan untuk Dr. Zahirah. Tadi doktor ada tunjukkan dalam satu sudut di mana kita nak explain tentang method tu. Kita explain secara apa orang kata senang nak faham without any mathematics or econometric and so on and so forth. Itu satu sudut, tapi satu sudut yang lain, adakah pentingnya dalam pemilihan method tersebut? Adakah method tu memberi weightage sama ada kita punya proposal tu accepted ataupun rejected? Sebab saya dalam ekonomi, jadi terlampau banyak sangat method yang ada, so kita tak tahu macam okay, ini method yang latest ke, yang ke belakang ke, adakah method memberi weightage juga, Doktor?
The answer is yes. Yes, a big yes. Okay, method ni cumanya it is not the same as when you are writing paper. When you are writing paper, kita pilih satu method kan. Kalau macam kita pakai spatial econometrics, kita pakai spatial saja. But when you are applying for FRGS, normally you need to go beyond that. Maksudnya kata you mungkin nak kena campur dah sekarang ni. You do econometrics part as well as yang interview part pun kena incorporate juga. If you just do on the econometric parts, I dah buat 2 kali dah, dua kali I tak dapat. Okay. Cuma ada seorang lecturer dekat AGBS, Dr. Tan Pek Leong tu kan, dia dapat grant under economics. Tapi bila I survey tengok, dia pun buat survey juga. Maknanya kata kalau we pakai purely econometric or secondary data macam kita selalu, orang ekonomi selalu buat tu, chances dia agak low jugalah. That is why you need to really modify your methodology. So they want to see a kind of they want to see some differences, something new. And then I think, ni I punya hypothesis sajalah, reviewers ni they nak make sure that what you have written is robust. So kemungkinan I punya reviewer ni adalah orang social science, bukan econometrician. So orang social science ni nowadays I have realized atau I have seen that they are going for 2 things. You regress pakai secondary data, and then you ada juga primary data punya section. Yang ni orang accounting banyak buat kerja-kerja lagu ni. So when the two has to go together, so they expect you to do the same thing in your proposal. So sometimes you need to put that in your proposal. And of course methodology is very, very important. Cuma whether you are going to use the latest technique or you are going to use slightly established technique, that would depend on your objective. Kalau your objective is to look at the spatial effect ataupun the distance effect of income inequality with, for example, poverty, for example, then you must use spatial econometrics. Okay, cumanya you kena varietykan lah. You kena buat a few robustness test, mungkin you guna SDM, okay, the Watson apa semua tu, you have to incorporate all those things. Okay, kalau you nak pakai contohnya JMM mungkin tak sesuai, ataupun JMM with cross correlation tak sesuai. Sebab apa? Because you are measuring, you are going to look it from the perspective of distance. So benda yang you buat tu kena konsisten dengan you punya objektif. Kalau macam you buat PSI tu kan, PSI punya research tu you nak buat index, of course tak payahlah pakai yang average. Law ni orang pakai PCA, so you kena buat lah yang latest, pakai PCA and then develop the index. Contohnya lah. Itu antara benda lah. Sebab kita kena presume the people who review our proposal are experts. So when they are experts, we presume that they know the latest techniques. Okay, but having said that, even if they know the latest techniques, they are able to differentiate whether this method is suitable for this objective or to achieve certain objective. Okay, I hope that answers your question. Again, we try and error.
Okay, ada soalan lain ke? Terutamanya yang berkaitan dengan bidang inilah ya, social science. Sebab hari itu yang sharing daripada Shah Alam hari itu bidang, Prof Chan hari itu bidang education kan. Saya nak tanya juga Prof, yang baru ni kan kalau yang tahun lepas tu 2020 tu yang UiTM kena ban blacklist tu kan. Masa tu kan dia ada tambahan function dalam migrant tu, kita kena ada research ethic dengan yang dia suruh kita kira percentage kita punya keywords tu. Saya tak ingat apa term dia yang tu. Sebab kalau untuk research ethics tu kan Prof, macam hari tu saya tinggal kosong sebab saya tanya Shah Alam masa tu sejauh mana kita kena isi part tu kan. Sebabnya proses tu agak mengambil masa kan Prof, dalam untuk proses untuk kita dapat itulah approval ke surat ke berkaitan dengan research ethics tu. Jadi
Wallahualam. I tak apply.
Tak dapat.
Boleh jawab lah.
Okay.
Cuma this year I think Dr. Rosmaiza yang apply yang untuk yang grant PSI 2020. Rasanya Noor Azwani is one of our co-researcher from memang boleh apply research ethics tu lah. Cumanya itulah lambat sikit lah.
Lambat sikit lah proses dia tu.
Lambat pun sebenarnya tak ada lambat sangat, sebulan macam tu kan.
Cuma sebulan lah.
Saya pernah kira go through this process, dia yang handle. Share boleh lah.
Maybe next
okay. Okay, insyaAllah.
Sebenarnya bila dapat grant tu kena terus
apply.
Sebab kalau you nak apply before you dapat grant, kalau you tak dapat, macam buang masa lah. Because it takes a lot of time. It's quite daunting lah. There's a lot to fill in.
Cumanya sebab dalam migrant tu, dia memang ada kolom yang research ethics tu. Tu yang ingat macam kena apply kan. Tapi sepatutnya selepas tu lah bila kita dah dapat kan.
Ya, patutnya selepas. Kalau yang dalam, I'm not sure whether the new form ada tu kan yang cakap yang number 4 tu kan. Kena research ethics sepenuh konten tu. Ni lah. Sebab memang I really don't see the point of applying research ethics if you don't get the grant. Unless you are doing experiments on binatang. Sebab yang tu kan banyak isu kan. Manusia lah. Kalau tekan interview tu it's not that severe. But if you're doing experiments on humans or experiments on animals, that would require some ethics regulations.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Nak
Assalamualaikum.
Research ethics tu sebab saya salah seorang pendidik komiti jugalah untuk kampus Negeri Sembilan. Kalau macam Dr. Zahirah cakap tadi, kalau research tu negligible risk je, maksudnya interview tak melibatkan isu-isu risiko yang tinggi lah, kanak-kanak, pasal kesihatan, benda-benda melibatkan human participant yang risiko dia tinggi lah. Selalunya dia tak ambil masa yang lama, dalam sebulan je dah lulus dah research ethics punya application tu. memang betul lah kalau kata research ethics tu dia ambil masa sikit, dan kalau dia bukan negligible risk, dia memang akan lebih detail lagi lah proses dia. Kadang-kadang kena buat pembentangan semualah sebelum dapat kelulusan. Jadi perkara ni kena diambil kira lah kalau kita buat research yang risiko dia high risk tu. Itu je lah saya cakap.
Thank you Dr. Fazila. She's the new RMU coordinator for Negeri Sembilan.
Okay,
bukan koordinator, penyelaras je.
Penyelaras.
Dalam bahagian research ethics.
Research ethics tu sebab dia sekarang UiTM dah wajibkan kan, jadi kita
betul.
take consideration lah those. Kalau kita tak synchronise-kan application ethics tu dengan kita punya, dia akan melambatkan kita punya permulaan research tu. So dia akan drag timing tu lah. Itu je lah.
Dan one more thing yang saya nak ni, especially if you do interview semua, some journals they require those ethics approval. Sebab tu kadang-kadang memang kita boleh submit artikel paper, kena submit sekali dengan ethics approval. So sebab itulah sekarang ni UiTM pun dah mewajibkan ethics punya application. Allahuakbar.
Okay, terima kasih banyak atas perkongsian daripada Dr. Noor Fazlina daripada UiTM Negeri Sembilan ya, dan juga Prof sendirilah. Okay, ada lagi ke soalan daripada kawan-kawan? Saya kira ini peluang yang terbaik lah kalau kita nak tanya directly dengan Dr. Zahirah ya. Sebelum kita ada beberapa minit lagi sebelum kita mengakhiri. Saya nak tanya jugalah Prof. Kalau kita punya GRA tu boleh jadi member kita punya dalam group member kita punya research ke? GRA?
Tak boleh.
Oh tak boleh ya Prof?
Dan sekarang ni RA pun tak boleh. GRA sahaja.
GRA sahaja kan?
Dia kena daftar as student UiTM dan primarily buat PhD dengan kita ataupun salah satu member dalam grup kita. Sekarang dah jadi requirement lah, kena ada postgraduate student from the any KPT grants. Memang it's almost wajib lah.
Dan dia kena buat full time lah Prof kan?
Yes, kena buat full time. Tapi yang tu I tak pasti, try tanya. Sebab dia tak sebut GRA tu has be a full time. Yang dia sebut dalam dia kata they must registered as a student in UiTM.
Status dia full time part time tu okay, tak sure.
Itu dia tak pasti, kena tanya RMC balik. Contohnya macam I punya group member, jadi kira I punya student. Lepas tu tapi I tak boleh bayar dia.
Tak
walaupun
boleh bayar.
Dia student. Tak
sebab
boleh.
dia group member.
Sebab dia group member. Yes.
Okay.
Dan RA sekarang tak boleh bayar dah kalau guna FRGS. Itulah di Kedah lah dia tak benarkan dah bayar. GRA sahaja.
GRA sahaja. Okay Prof. Okay, ada lagi ke?
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Ya, waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
Dr. Rizita pada UiTM 9.
Okey.
Kalau kita tengok bajet dalam vote tu, kita ada vote masing-masing. Tapi kalau duit dari segi bajet tu, kalau kita tak habis gunakan, macam mana prosedur tu balik? Saya nak tahu jugalah.
I'm not the best person to answer, tapi macam saya, contohnya macam saya nak beli software tu kan, I have to pull from other budget to that particular vote. Daripada vote lain pergi ke vote tu. cara nak buat dia kena buat online. Dan dia tak boleh lebih daripada 50%. Buat online je, masuk dalam sistem email tu, lepas tu isi semua dekat situ. If you still have problems, you kena contact, I lupa dah nama dia. Satu staff ni, EO tu, dia yang akan email kat kita lah, dia akan buat untuk kita lah. Ataupun you just call her. Nanti I'll send you her contact number. Forgot what her name was. Yeah. Nama dia Noor Syuhada Mohder, Irmi Noor Syuhada Mohder.
Noor Syuhada
Mohder, M-O-H-D-E-R.
Mohd. Okay.
Google je, I think you can find her name.
Okay.
But you have to do everything online sekarang ni.
Okay. Terima kasih Prof.
Wallahualam.
Okey Prof, mungkin ni soalan terakhir. Daripada dalam ruangan chat ni, okey, soalan saya, kalau ketua tak banyak publication tapi ahli-ahli dia aktif menulis dan banyak publication, ada possibility tak application ditolak?
Yes. The answer is yes. Sebab yang penting sekali ialah dia punya leader. Leader tu yang kena banyak publication. Banyak tu kalau ada 2-3 pun sebenarnya dah okey lah. Tak ada langsung. Maksudnya yang ada 2-3 tu dia jadi main author 2-3 yang dia jadi main author. Yes. So tu antara faktor yang dia orang consider lah.
Okey. Ada lagi tak soalan lain? Okey. Saya kira dah tak ada soalan Prof. Okey, rakan-rakan peserta boleh mengisi link kehadiran, okey, yang terdapat di ruangan chat. Okey, so dengan itu kita akhiri, okey, majlis kita dengan tasbih kifarah dan surah Wal-As. Tapi sebelum tu saya mengucapkan ribuan terima kasihlah kepada Prof Madya Dr. Noor Zahirah di atas perkongsian yang sangat bermakna ini. Okay, diharap dapat membantu semua kawan-kawan untuk menulis proposal FRGS bagi tahun ini 2021. Mungkin juga kita dah dapat prepare siap-siap awal-awal. Okay, kita belum dapat lagi pengumuman daripada KPT kan bila migrants akan dibuka, tapi dalam tempoh tu kita dah boleh update kita punya profile sebab sekarang ni memang dah auto verified, kita dah tak perlu call Syahalam apa semua untuk validate kita punya profile setiap kali kita update profile kan, memang dah auto validate. Okay, so mungkin kita fulfill dulu semua requirement profile tu, kita punya CV, update kita punya publication, citation semua. Okay, and then bila dan dalam masa yang sama dah boleh start draft, siap-siap proposal. Okay, kami di pihak RMU, kalau nak hantar ke RMU kami akan hantar kepada internal examiner lah. Okay, untuk kita buat semakan di peringkat dalaman terlebih dahulu, kemudian bila dah buka sistem nanti, so boleh terus upload dalam sistem. Kan Prof. Okay. So terima kasih banyak-banyak Prof di atas perkongsian ini. So saya akhiri global webinar series kita pada kali ini dengan tasbih kifarah dan surah Wal-As. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan terima kasih semua.